Hello and welcome back to A Better World. This is your host Mitchell J. Rabin, and we're very glad that you're joining us again today. Today we are in Glastonbury on location, and we have the very special opportunity to speak with John DeRuiter, who is here actually from Canada, who is giving a talk here in Glastonbury to a packed room of people very eager to hear what this very, very interesting man has to say. He was kind enough to come on to the show tonight and talk to us about his own personal experiences and what they have brought him to realize about the nature of life, the nature of being. So please stay tuned. I'm sure you'll have a wonderful time and become quite awakened by what you will be hearing in this show. John, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
It's great to have you. Yeah. So first, if you would please just give us some idea of what your background was that led you to coming at this point to Glastonbury and giving talks and conducting sort of like seminars wherever you go these days. What was it that happened inside you that brought you to this point in your life?
A number of years of very intensive, agonizing searching for not just the truth and to experience truth, but to get to the very source of where it comes from so that I could keep it and have it. And it was a number of years of agonizing under that and suffering under that because of not getting it. And then I got to the point where I would let go of everything that I was seeking for. Let go of wanting to get it, experience it, and allow myself to be quite wonderfully content to be in darkness.
Or wherever you happen to be.
Mm-hmm.
And you were raised Roman Catholic, is that so, in Canada? Mm-hmm. And do you have any feeling for that teaching?
That never meant anything to me.
Uh-huh.
And my growing up here is it never touched anything, never did anything.
But at a certain point, you started to look into other kinds of religious or mystical teachings, is that so?
Mm-hmm.
And what were you finding yourself gravitating toward?
At first, Christianity.
That was kind of a natural, yeah.
I didn't know where else to look. That to me, and my own perception was the place to go.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I looked, and not finding anything, not finding what I was looking for. I couldn't find it in anybody that I would ever talk to. So I would begin to look, not so much within, but look with whatever it is that I had to look with. And
mm-hmm. Did you have friends that were involved in Buddhism or Hinduism or yoga? No. This is the backwoods of Canada, huh?
That's right. The Bible Belt of Alberta.
Oh, there is a Bible Belt of Alberta. I didn't even know. Yeah. But at a certain point, did you find anything, other teachings that resonated with you in any way?
I couldn't find what I was looking for. The only thing that I had that was really powerful was, which lasted for about a year, was that I tasted reality inside. And for the year it was fantastic and it was clear. And then after that, I lost it. It just left. That's what started my search. Before that experience of tasting reality, I was not looking for anything. I didn't know that there was anything to look for.
Mm-hmm.
But once that little bit was awakened, then that was it. Then once you've tasted, then you can't live without it.
Yeah.
You know that it exists and that life is worth nothing until you're living from that place.
Yeah. Now, how old were you when that happened?
17.
So there was you were living within a space that was actively in touch with reality, as you would report it.
For myself, it was just a very simple space, a small space, but it was, there was a satisfaction of being in it. I attribute it to God. It didn't make much difference to me what it was. I just knew that it was real. It awakened me.
On the level of your being, you knew it was real.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a way that nothing in your life prior to that was.
It was unlike anything I'd ever experienced in my life. And prior to that experience, I wasn't looking for anything because I had no idea that there was anything else, and I wasn't dissatisfied.
Anything to look for, as you said.
No, it didn't dawn on me at all.
Yeah.
And I wasn't dissatisfied with life. There was no seeking. There was no concept of seeking. Not until that experience left. Then I had something to seek for, because
right.
now I lost it. Now I lost it. Yeah.
You had something that you wanted.
Yeah.
Right? Sure.
Yeah.
And one of the things I very much gathered from your speaking this evening is that we'll share with the audience now, is this idea that the wanting itself acts as a barrier to being in the moment.
Whatever it is that you want most on the inside, that you can't have. You can only have on the inside that which you are most unconditionally accepting of not having. Then that's what you have. You only have what you let go of. You don't have what you're hanging on to in terms of an internal reality. So in as much as you're wanting peace or wanting joy or wanting happiness, the greater the want of it, the less you have. And in as much as you're very warmly and unconditionally content in not having any peace at all, then now there's this peace that passes all understanding in you being delighted that you don't need peace. And then there's peace in that.
Right. This is the internal, eternal paradox of our life.
That's right.
Spinning right in front of us.
That's right.
You can't have what you most want.
That's right.
Until you most don't want it.
Whatever you let go of on the inside, that's what you have. Yeah. And it's not a conditional letting go where you let go of something so that you can have it.
In order that.
Yeah.
Yep. It's got to be a real and true and genuine letting go.
Yeah.
Where you kiss it goodbye.
That's right.
And see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's very powerful.
What makes it so powerful is its simplicity.
Yeah.
It's not complex.
Yeah. Now, just to go back a little bit into what I heard in reading, actually, a little bit about your life. You said you came to that point of not being dissatisfied with your life, but yet this incredible gift came your way of a year of your describing your being in touch with reality. And that was probably a feeling, a sense perhaps, even more so.
It was a sense that also provided some very wonderful feelings.
Yeah. But there was, I guess you could say, a knowing on the level of being that was beyond and separate from feelings.
That's right.
Yeah. Then there was a point, then that dissipated, and then you had something to look for.
Well, now it's gone.
That's right. And said looking had to be let go of as well.
That's right.
So then there was, I'm just kind of looking a little bit chronologically, there was a time at which you had the experience of being with Jesus Christ, or Him coming to you?
That was after I had come to a place where there was a going home inside, letting go of needing, letting go of wanting in terms of an internal reality, and just being able to live in a state of being that wasn't in want, that wasn't, based on attachment, but there was a profound love of surrender, a profound love of letting go and not needing to have. And it was a number of years after that I was driving and there was an appearance of Jesus in front of me. And it was him just doing what I was doing, and that was being. There was no communication of words or information or anything. It was just extremely simple. It was like, in terms of beingness, it was like just two little children sitting in front of each other and nothing big happening. The flow was really amazing. The love back and forth, the oneness was quite astounding. And for myself, there was no need to get anything out of it, to attach to it, to identify, this is the ultimate of what I've been looking for. It was not something I needed, but something that I was really content to be in, because that's what was there.
So you weren't making something of it more than what it was, which was a simple gathering of two beings.
Just really quite simple.
Yeah. Just accenting the whole idea of simplicity, even in something like that. If a person, because of who Jesus Christ is, or pictured as, let me say, in our society, the thought of someone, being visited would, reach the headlines. For you, it sounds, maintained your equanimity and went, today it's Jesus,
Well, it's just that it's okay. It's something worth being there and then letting it go.
Yeah. Well, in the literature, I read something, John, about him infusing you with his essence, and that when you have gatherings and evenings and talks, you are also imparting that essence to the people that are gathered. Could you comment on that?
The one thing that I learned on my own was that of going home on the inside, to a place of not having need of absolutely anything. That was being rooted and established just by living inside of that. What changed with Jesus appearing, which wasn't after the first time or the second time or the third time, but it started to generate later. He began to teach me how to do just a little bit. And it wasn't doing something through the use of the mind or the emotions or the will or the intuition or the body. It was doing something with all of those surface bodies just quite nicely at rest and not being ruffled or worked or labored. And it's like his being would do something. It's like it would go through an adjustment. And when that adjustment would happen, there would be an incredible resonance of being, of something happening to me that I couldn't comprehend through my surface bodies. And when I would resonate with that and respond to that, then what he did would happen to me. And my mind, looking at that through my mind, I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't comprehend it. I couldn't understand it. But the reality of what was going on was profoundly clear and moving and true. So I learned how to do something without mind, or my emotions, or my will, or my intuition. As that would start to happen, then it was like a transference of being. I would learn something without doing something for it. I would learn how to do this beingness, or do something that a being can do that doesn't need to do so through the mind or the will. Then I would be able to do that to other people. So it's like what Jesus did to me in this connection, then I could, without words, do the same thing to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years, these appearances would take place many times. And the transference of this learning how to do continued, and it would get more and more powerful. As well as what would take place with other individuals, the same thing. There would be an increase of ability to do beingness. And that's been taking place for the last 11 years. Slowly.
You're using the word do, and I gather that it's not a doing in any sense that we typically understand.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's really almost, I'll use the phrase being play. You know, it's a shifting, perhaps an ability to almost amoeba-like move through.
It is like that.
Space.
It is like that.
On an essence level. And so you are me and I become you, and there aren't the same ordinary definitions or boundaries.
That's right.
That we speak of. This is powerful stuff.
It's like, the experience of it is like, it's like a ballet. There's a movement of being that comes out and begins to move toward the other person, and it's acting on the essence in that person. It's not acting on their personality. It's not acting on their ego. It's not acting on their mind or their emotions. It's in a very fine way. It's bypassing all of that and just dancing toward who that person really is and touching that, and it's like bringing that out in a very playful, real way. And for that person, they're experiencing something happening to them that is like an awakening, and yet when they look at it through their mind, they cannot comprehend, what is happening. All they know is that it is so real and so profound, and it doesn't touch negatively all the things that they're used to being touched by.
Triggered and all that. Yeah, right. Wow, it's sort of like reaching in and grabbing the juice and getting to play with the highest level of someone.
That's right.
And bypassing all of the ego-based, ego-bound personality.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a fun way to play. That's a good game. There's no question about it. Now you do some of this through looking, through gazing. Is that so? Are there other? What is it about that particular vehicle that you feel is most resonant with you?
When I look at someone, their whole face, especially the eyes, are like a window.
Window to the soul.
Yeah. But it's not just the eyes. It's the whole face. And when I look at a person, it's like I'm going in behind their face, and their face, like a book, opens up. And it's like there's transparencies of many different levels inside or underneath. And what I'm doing is it's like moving as essence and just in a very light way just touching some of those pages and not even flipping through them, just touching them. And in as much as just with that touch, there's a response of who that person really is, which is all of the transparencies, and those pages start to move. And as that person begins to respond to this movement in their own being, their own pages start to open. And these pages start to open, and they start to move, and they start to flip, and they're experiencing that inside, and their mind is looking at it, and it's like it can't compute with what's going on, it can't comprehend it, and yet for the being, it's the most wonderful thing that person has ever experienced. It addresses their very core.
Isn't that neat? Now, when you're looking at one person, and this might be for the audience who may be with you at some point or another, even though you're making direct contact with one person. You had said this evening that the experience happening in the present is really available for everyone.
That's right.
Is that so?
If I'm having a connection with one particular individual, that's available for everyone because that connection is happening in everybody's space. So it's not exclusive to just the person that it's happening to.
Is that because in being we are one?
It's because the energy of what's taking place is permeating the whole room. It's like there's an aura. The aura begins to move, and the aura envelops that person, and because it's happening in that room, it automatically absorbs and takes in everybody. So it's like filling the whole room with what's happening in one particular connection.
Yes. And whether people are looking at you again directly, or they're not, or they're looking inside themselves.
They could have their eyes closed before I start connecting with someone, and have their eyes closed after I'm done, and they could be going through a pretty amazing experience, not realizing what the source of it is.
So it's energetic. It has less to
That's
do
right.
with the actual physical looking, and it's happening really on an energetic, invisible level for all intents and purposes.
And at the same time, the eyes are a window, and the face is a window.
Yes, right. Now, are you working with or directing a certain intention when you make contact with somebody, or are you free of that?
There's no intention. It's this really, really tender, gentle satisfaction to just simply be with someone. And it's like there's nothing that needs to be done. And if I don't have access into that person, it doesn't even make any difference. Then what there is this lovely contentedness to just lay down, as it were, at their doorstep. It's like I don't need to go into their door or through their door. So down at their doorstep. And the resonance of that being as non-threatening as it is, that resonance moves in behind the door, and it touches that person, and it actually draws them to love and to value the sense of that. And because of that, then they actually begin to open the door and love what's happening. So then they end up coming out because of that. And then as a ballet, it's like essence getting up and then just being with and looking at the person that's opened the door to look through. And then there starts to be an interaction of moving through each other. I would go inside of that person, or I would take them inside of me, and it's like a play. It's like love playing and being with.
It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. It seems that the doorway into this space is an idea that you touched upon many times tonight, and you kind of laughed when I kind of summarized what I thought you were saying, and you went, ow. Do you remember that moment?
Yes.
Because what it looked like, or sounded like, is that the real doorway into this play is total acceptance, unconditional acceptance of what's happening literally moment to moment.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
Because if there's any barrier, any resistance of any sort, there's not the possibility of being in touch with being.
That's right. Then you're not being, you're wanting.
Okay. Right.
You can't need and be, or want and be at the same time.
Okay. So just to go back to the teaching of, just invoke for a moment the Buddha, who spoke a lot about detachment, non-attachment, and being free of desires. In a sense, you are really, I know I'm translating into a somewhat different language right now, but that is very much of what you're putting.
But it's not just detachment, because there's anything can go two different ways. There can be a detachment from a place that's cold, and has an edge to it. It's like, I can't get it, so I don't need it. What that is resistance of the fact that I can't get what I want, so then I don't need it.
That's right.
The kind of detachment.
Angry separation.
That's right. That's right. The only kind of detachment that works is a very, very tender, gentle, warm detachment. It's where there's a warmth inside that it's okay that I don't need it, and there's no attachment to doing that.
Yeah, that's right. That's very different. That's right. Because you're feeling every moment of that letting go there, whereas the other one is more of an abrupt,
not wanting to be
almost
in it.
a pushing away
Yeah.
of an experience rather than really being with it and feeling the heart, the habit, the personality release something that isn't for its own highest good.
That's right.
Yeah, it's neat. So right now you are going around the world, is that it? Speaking, teaching,
Some places.
painting.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. And is that your general goal, to reach many people at this point?
Mildly, my greatest priority is that of just spending time with the group that's already there in Edmonton. We meet 4 times a week for 3-hour meetings, and to just keep nurturing what's already started there. And that's much more important to me than trying to generate something large or set up different centers around the world. Then it's just that in itself would be self-defeating.
Yeah, I hear you.
So then quality way ahead of quantity.
Yes, I hear you. Oh, that's really nice to hear. It's really nice to hear. If you could just say kind of a last statement for at least this interview, and no doubt we'll do more in the future, message that you would like very much for the audience to hear from you at this point, what would you want to say?
The most valuable thing that anybody could ever do on the inside is to let go of everything you believe that is true, let go of all of your beliefs, let go of everything that holds you together, let go of all of your moral structure, let go of everything that gives you a sense of safety, let go of your safety net, and be wonderfully and tenderly content with just what presently is. When you let go of all of that, what is left over is the real you. And all you lose is the you that you want to be or need to be. What's left over is just a very tender okayness, the very thing that we're all looking for.
Beautiful. Well, thanks so much for being with us and lifting the spirit and the souls of the people watching. It's been, I feel myself personally very pleased to have met you, and have gotten a lot from your communications this evening, verbal and non-verbal, and feel that you're in a position to really reach out and touch a lot of people in a meaningful way and help to bring people more and more in line with their own true selves, with their own being, which is truly our only hope as a humanity to make a most desired shift.
That's right.
So, thanks again.
Thank you.
Absolutely. This is Mitchell J. Rabin for A Better World. Thanks so much for joining us. Give a call at 212-420-0800. Share your thoughts and feelings with me. I love hearing from you, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.